Hi, my name is Stephen McGee and I'm the author of Toxic Health. And we're here to talk about one of the subjects of toxic health, and that is how electrical products can affect your well-being, and in particular they can cause a wide variety of sickness to appear in the human body, both physical and mental. And I'm going to talk a little bit about plants, and I have a number of plants here. Believe it or not, all the plants that I'm going to be showing you all used to look quite similar to this one, and you can see that the leaves of this plant are basically the size of my hand, and that's the way all of the subsequent plants used to look until they were grown in a combination of being indoors and around electrical and electronic systems. So if you look at this plant, this, believe it or not, is the identical plant to what I just showed you, and it's deformed. And this one was grown in an office environment under electronic fluorescent lighting, computers and Wi-Fi networks. So that's what happened to this one. So this is also the same plant, and you can see that the leaf is about half the size. And this one was growing in an AC electrical field, and it appears to have reacted to it. And also my Wi-Fi network was on the other side of that wall behind us. So the combination of Wi-Fi and being indoors and being in an AC voltage field had an effect on this plant. And this one right here is covered in foil because I have another experiment running on it right now. I'm actually trying to, now it's deformed, I'm actually trying to get it to grow back normal, and I'm not having any success with that experiment right now. So as you can see, it's like very different. This is the most deformed out of the plants, and it appears to have gone a little bit further along than what this one did. So as you can see, the leaves are a little bit smaller, and they've lost the patterning. The patterning is completely gone. The other thing you'll notice is they're very glossy. So see these leaves, very glossy, and they don't grow glossy in the normal plant. And it's generally plants that have dull leaves, that have leaves that go shiny, is very typically an effect of electromagnetic interference. And this particular plant here was actually grown in the fields produced by my digital television. And I have another plant that I actually grew in the fields of a 32-inch cathode ray tube television, and that is highly deformed. It's even more deformed than that one. So there's no doubt about it that these electromagnetic interference fields are deforming plants, and this subject regarding plant deformity and electromagnetic interference was extensively documented by Dr. John Nash Ott. And he has a number of books on the subject, and his book Health and Light is a good start if you're interested in the subject, as is Toxic Health. And I also have another book called Toxic Light, and they talk about these plant effects regarding the different electromagnetic interference fields. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because I've just finished an experiment that used these light bulbs. This was a high pressure sodium light bulb. It's a 70-watt light bulb, and these products are about 10 watts a piece, and this is an LED light bulb, and this one is a compact fluorescent light bulb. And it was a plant experiment, but I didn't actually notice any growth defects in the plants, simply because it didn't run long enough. What actually happened in that experiment was, instead of the plants changing their growth, which was the expected outcome after about 3 months, something rather unexpected happened in just the space of 2 weeks of that experiment. And that was, I got really sick, and that sickness appeared to be basically pretty classic symptoms of what most people would call depression. Zero energy. I just wanted to be in bed all day long, and didn't want to be doing anything, and I had insomnia, I wasn't sleeping well. And after about 2 weeks, I actually realized that was the experiment that I was running in my home regarding these light bulbs. And these light bulbs do a number of things. they create very strange electromagnetic interference fields around them, and they also produce what's known as harmonics on the electrical system. And harmonics does really strange stuff to the electrical system and the electrical wiring, and it puts very large electrical magnetic fields onto the wiring, and it can put wideband radio wave emissions, and all that can get onto your grounding system. And once it's on the grounding system, you may actually find that all that stuff is coming up through the ground, because it gets into the ground through the ground rods of your home, which are connected to the neutral cable in America. So yeah, harmonics is a real big issue. And the other things that produce it are things like televisions. Televisions are horrible devices for electromagnetic interference fields. And in fact, the worst plant growth defects I've seen have occurred around televisions. And you need to be very, very careful with where you put your television, and just be aware that there's a very large range of fields in all directions from a cathode ray tube television, and even the newer LED and LCD flat screen televisions have quite extensive fields around them. So it's a good idea to make sure that you're several feet away from these devices in all directions, and particularly if you have your device against a wall, you should make sure that there's no seats against the other side of that wall, because anybody sitting in that seat will be sitting in a very strong electromagnetic field. So the whole point of this presentation is to let you know that these products, particularly these 3 lighting products that I have just finished testing, caused depression to show up in my body. And I now believe that electrical and electronic products are probably the main source of depression in the human body. And if you have depression symptoms and you're not getting any better and you're just getting sicker, I would recommend that you take a very strong, hard look at your electromagnetic interference environment and clean it up. And you may find that all your symptoms disappear, because what happened with me was, after I stopped the experiment, I actually went through withdrawal from the exposure to these 3 light bulbs. And the withdrawal was pretty bad. You know, I had extensive pains in my body, followed by probably a headache that lasted about 3 days, didn't respond to medication. And then that was followed by a few weeks of insomnia. So that's all, for the most part, cleared up. So all this stuff clears up if you remove the source of the toxins from your environment. And it's very clear in this case that the toxins in my environment that were causing these depression symptoms were these 3 light bulbs. The combination, it may be one particular light bulb, which I have a strong suspicion it's the street light, but I ran the experiment with the 3 light bulbs, and the combination of those 3 light bulbs produced a very wide range of sickness symptoms in my body, which were quite unpleasant. So something to be aware of. You should know where your light bulbs are, and in particular street lights. I've also identified that there's an effect that seems to occur around street lights, which is called street light premature death clusters. And I've noticed in people that I know that have died prematurely that they seem to have the common feature of having a street light outside their property. So something to be aware of is, you know, the closer you live to a street light, the sicker you may be. So you should pay attention to street lights in your environment, and be aware that, you know, lighting products can make you really sick, and just simply by getting rid of those products you may return to normal health. And the product to go with is the conventional filament light bulb, the one that's been around for over 100 years now. So the simpler your light bulbs are, the healthier they are. So a conventional filament light bulb is the way to go when it comes to lights. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and if you've got depression and you're wondering where it's coming from, I would recommend that you clean up your electrical environment and see how you go on. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I wish you the very best of health. Thank you.